The village lay nestled by the gentle curve of the river, a quiet companion in the tender stillness of pre-dawn. In the cool embrace of early spring, the earth held its breath, wrapped in a hushed promise of new beginnings. Wooden cabins, their roofs glistening with a thin frost, stood like silent sentinels against the darkened sky, a sky that whispered of ancient stars and dreams yet to come. In one such cabin, a humble structure of timber and warmth, Elizabeth Turner stirred beneath the weight of a woolen blanket. She was a woman of 30 summers, with hands calloused from toil and a spirit as resilient as the land itself. Her husband, Thomas, lay beside her, his breath a steady rhythm in the stillness. Their lives were carved from the wilderness, bound to the cycles of the earth and the whims of the seasons. Outside, the world was cloaked in shadows, the air crisp and tinged with the scent of damp earth and distant pine. The only sound, the gentle lapping of the river against its banks, a lullaby for those who listened. As the village slept, Elizabeth was already awake in her heart, a silent anticipation stirring her from slumber. This was a place where time moved differently. Days were marked not by the ticking of a clock, but by the sun's journey across the sky and the tasks that filled each fleeting hour. A place where stories were woven into the fabric of life, shared in whispers and songs under the canopy of the night. As the first hint of light began to touch the eastern horizon, a soft glow kissed the edges of the world. Elizabeth rose quietly, careful not to disturb Thomas. She moved to the window, her breath forming delicate clouds upon the glass. The dawn was coming, slowly, gently, as it always did, promising another day of life in the embrace of this new world. The first light of dawn crept softly into the cabin, casting gentle shadows that danced along the rough-hewn walls. Inside, the air was cool, kissed by the lingering chill of the night. Elizabeth Turner stirred beneath the warmth of her woolen blanket, the familiar scent of wood smoke clinging to her senses. She lay still for a moment, listening to the soft symphony of the world waking around her. The rustle of leaves outside, the distant call of a mourning dove, the gentle crackle of embers in the hearth. Beside her, Thomas Turner shifted, his breath steady and deep. The floorboards creaked as he rose, careful not to disturb the fragile peace of the morning. Elizabeth turned her head slightly, watching him through half-closed eyes as he moved with practiced ease, pulling on his breeches and shirt, the fabric whispering against his skin. She could see the outline of his form against the dim light, strong and steady, the embodiment of their shared resilience. The cabin held the scent of earth and timber, mingling with the faint aroma of dried herbs hanging from the rafters. Elizabeth inhaled deeply, the familiar smells grounding her in the rhythm of their life. With a quiet resolve, she too rose, her bare feet meeting the cool, worn wood of the floor. She wrapped a woolen shawl around her shoulders, the texture rough yet comforting against her skin. Together, they moved through their morning rituals, a silent choreography of purpose and intent. Elizabeth's hands found the well-worn Bible on the small table by the window, its pages softened by years of use. She opened it with reverence, the thin paper rustling softly, and began her morning prayers, words murmured under her breath like a gentle incantation. Thomas, meanwhile, tended to the fire, coaxing new life from the embers, the flames flickering to life with a soft roar that filled the cabin with warmth. The sun crept higher, painting the world outside in hues of gold and amber. Elizabeth glanced out the window, her eyes tracing the familiar landscape of their homestead. The river, a ribbon of silver in the distance, the fields awaiting the promise of spring's renewal. Her heart swelled with a quiet gratitude, the beauty of the morning a balm to her soul. The scent of fresh-baked bread filled the air as Elizabeth set about preparing their breakfast. The loaf, crusty and golden, still held the warmth of the hearth. She sliced it carefully, the bread yielding beneath her touch, releasing a steam fragrant with the promise of nourishment. A pat of butter, churned from their own cow's milk, glistened atop each slice, melting slowly into the soft crumb. Thomas returned from the small storage room, carrying a jar of preserves, the summer's bounty captured in jewel-like hues. He placed it on the table beside the bread, the rich aroma of berries mingling with the warm, yeasty scent of the bread. Together they sat, the simple meal, a testament to their labor and the bounty of their land. As they ate, the world outside continued its awakening. The birds' morning chorus filled the air, their songs a melodic thread woven into the fabric of the day. Thomas spoke of the tasks ahead, his voice a low rumble, yet there was a softness in his eyes as he looked at Elizabeth, a shared understanding of the life they had built together. With breakfast finished, the rhythm of the day began in earnest. Thomas gathered his tools, the metal of the axe cold against his palm, and headed towards the edge of the forest, where trees stood waiting to be felled. The sound of chopping wood soon echoed through the clearing, a steady, rhythmic thud that marked the hours. Elizabeth turned her attention to the garden, where the earth, still damp from the morning dew, beckoned her hands. She knelt in the dirt, fingers tracing the outlines of new shoots, tender and green. The soil was cool and gritty beneath her touch, a reminder of the life it held within. She worked methodically, her mind a quiet hum of thoughts and plans, the satisfaction of the work grounding her in its simplicity. The sun climbed higher, warming the land with its gentle embrace. Elizabeth paused, wiping her brow with the back of her hand, and looked up to see Thomas returning from the forest, his shirt damp with sweat, yet his expression one of quiet contentment. He carried the day's work with him, a pile of logs neatly stacked, ready for splitting. As the morning wore on, the sounds of the village began to drift through the trees. The distant murmur of voices, the clatter of hooves on dirt paths, the occasional bark of a dog. It was a comforting reminder of the community that surrounded them, the tapestry of lives interwoven with their own. Elizabeth and Thomas worked side by side, their movements a seamless dance of cooperation and understanding. The tasks of the morning gave way to the promise of the afternoon, yet for now, they lingered in the moment, savoring the simplicity of their shared labor. The air grew warmer, the sun's rays filtering through the canopy of leaves to dapple the ground in patterns of light and shadow. Elizabeth felt the weight of the morning's work settle into her muscles, a pleasant fatigue that spoke of a day well begun. As the morning drew to a close, the couple returned to the cabin, the air within still holding the scent of breakfast, mingling now with the fresh smell of the earth. Elizabeth set about preparing the midday meal, her movements fluid and practiced, while Thomas busied himself with tasks around the homestead, each small act a thread in the fabric of their lives. The sun hung high in the sky, its light a gentle caress that promised warmth and growth in the days to come. Outside, the land lay quiet yet full of life, a testament to the resilience and determination of those who called it home. And within the cabin, Elizabeth and Thomas found solace in the rhythm of their day, the steady pulse of life as constant and comforting as the beating of their hearts. The morning sun stretched its golden fingers across the Turners' homestead, gently nudging the world awake. Elizabeth and Thomas, having finished their modest breakfast, prepared to embark on the day's labors with a practiced ease born of necessity. The air was cool and crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and budding greenery, a promise of renewal in the early spring. Thomas donned his weathered woolen coat and leather breeches, the fabric soft from years of wear. He reached for his tools, the wooden handles smooth and reassuring beneath his calloused hands. Today, his tasks lay in the fields, where the soil awaited its yearly transformation. He cast a final glance at Elizabeth, who was already gathering her own supplies for the day. Elizabeth, clad in a long dress and sturdy apron, busied herself with preparations. Her hands moved with a surety that belied the complexity of her tasks. In one hand she held a basket woven tightly with reeds from the riverbank, and in the other, a small bundle wrapped in cloth, goods for trade. The cabin's wooden door creaked as she stepped out, the morning light painting her figure in soft hues. The village market, a modest affair, was already alive with activity. The air was filled with the din of voices, the clatter of hooves on cobblestones, and the occasional bark of a dog. Elizabeth moved through the throng, her senses attuned to the rhythm of commerce. The market was a tapestry of sights and sounds, a kaleidoscope of colors from fabrics and produce, an orchestra of haggling and laughter. At one stall, a farmer displayed baskets brimming with apples and potatoes, their skins glistening with dew. Elizabeth paused, the earthy scent of the produce mingling with the smoke from nearby chimneys. Her own basket contained skeins of wool, spun by her own diligent fingers, and jars of preserves, each sealed with care. These modest offerings were her currency in this bustling world. She approached the farmer with whom she often traded. His name was Samuel, a man of stocky build and a face weathered by sun and wind. "Morning, Elizabeth," he greeted, his voice gruff yet friendly, like gravel warmed by the sun. They exchanged goods and pleasantries, a ritual as old as the land itself. The weight of new produce shifted in her basket, a testament to the successful exchange. Meanwhile, Thomas was at work in the fields, the earth soft beneath his boots. The sound of a hoe slicing through soil was rhythmic, almost meditative. Each stroke unearthed the promise of growth, the rich scent of loam filling the air. The fields stretched out before him, a patchwork quilt of potential, stitched together by his labor. The sun climbed higher, casting a warm glow over the landscape. Thomas paused to wipe his brow, the sweat of honest work a familiar companion. He surveyed the land, his eyes tracing the gentle rise and fall of the terrain. The field was a canvas, and he, its artist, coaxing life from the earth with patience and skill. Back at the market, Elizabeth continued her transactions. She bartered for essentials, salt, spices, and a few yards of linen. Her hands brushed the fabric, its texture cool and smooth against her skin. Each purchase was a careful decision, a balance of wants and needs, guided by her keen awareness of their limited resources. As the morning waned, the market began to quiet. The sun, now high in the sky, bathed the village in a comforting warmth. Elizabeth lingered, savoring the sights and sounds around her. A musician plucked at a lute, his melody weaving through the air like a gentle breeze. Children laughed, their games a lively counterpoint to the day's industry. Elizabeth's final visit was to a stall where herbs and remedies were sold. The air was thick with the scent of dried lavender and chamomile. She selected a small pouch of herbs, intended to ward off the maladies that lurked in the damp spring air. The exchange was swift, punctuated by a nod of gratitude. Her basket now full, Elizabeth turned toward home, the path familiar beneath her feet. Each step brought her closer to the cabin, to the hearth that awaited her return. Her thoughts drifted to Thomas, to the fields where he toiled. The rhythm of their lives, though demanding, was a source of comfort, a testament to their resilience and partnership. Thomas, too, felt the pull of home as the afternoon wore on. The sun dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the fields. He gathered his tools, the day's work etched into the landscape behind him. The satisfaction of a job well done settled over him like a warm cloak. As he made his way back, the scent of wood smoke reached him, mingling with the cool evening air. The cabin loomed ahead, its silhouette a beacon of familiarity and solace. Elizabeth was there, waiting at the door, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the setting sun. Together, they unloaded their burdens, the fruits of their labor laid out before them. The day's transactions had been modest but meaningful, a reminder of their place within the community, of the delicate balance they maintained with nature and one another. The evening unfolded with quiet simplicity. The fire crackled in the hearth, its warmth a balm against the encroaching chill. Elizabeth prepared a simple meal, the scent of roasted vegetables filling the cabin. They ate in companionable silence, the day's stories shared through gestures and glances rather than words. As darkness descended, the world outside fell silent, the only sound the gentle rustle of leaves in the breeze. Elizabeth and Thomas settled into the quietude, their thoughts turning inward, reflecting on the day that had passed and the promise of those yet to come. In the stillness, they found peace, a fleeting yet profound sense of contentment. The hearth's glow flickered, casting shadows that danced like memories on the cabin walls. And as they drifted toward sleep, the rhythm of their breathing was a lullaby, a testament to their enduring spirit and the life they had crafted together, one day at a time. As the sun climbed to its zenith, painting the landscape in hues of gold, a gentle warmth spread across the Turner homestead. The air was rich with the scent of freshly turned earth, mingling with the sweet aroma of early spring blooms. Inside the cabin, the fire crackled softly in the hearth, casting flickering shadows that danced upon the rough-hewn walls. Elizabeth Turner moved with practiced grace, her hands deftly preparing the midday meal. Her fingers, worn yet nimble, worked the dough for the bread, pressing and folding with a rhythmic precision that spoke of years of practice. The smell of yeast and flour filled the small kitchen, mingling with the sharp scent of cured meats hanging nearby. A pot of stew simmered gently over the fire, its savory aroma hinting at the hearty feast to come. Thomas entered the cabin, his footsteps heavy yet familiar on the wooden floor. He carried with him the earthy scent of the fields, a testament to the morning's labor. Elizabeth greeted him with a warm smile, her eyes reflecting the quiet pride they both felt in their day's work. Together they set the table, a simple wooden affair, scarred by years of use yet sturdy and reliable. The midday meal was a ritual, a moment of respite from the relentless toil of the day. On the table, Elizabeth placed the freshly baked bread, its crust golden and inviting. Beside it, a platter of cured ham and a bowl of boiled corn rested, vibrant and steaming. The stew, rich and thick, was ladled into wooden bowls, its contents a medley of vegetables and game, a testament to the land's bounty. As they sat, the cabin filled with the comforting sounds of clinking utensils and the gentle murmur of shared conversation. Elizabeth and Thomas dined together, savoring the fruits of their labor and the simple pleasure of each other's company. The food was humble but nourishing, each bite a reminder of the hard work that sustained them. The meal was not just a necessity, but a social ritual, a time to pause and connect. Stories were exchanged, plans discussed, and laughter shared, a quiet celebration of life amidst the challenges they faced. The Turners' table was a testament to their resilience, a place where love and labor intertwined. Beyond the cabin walls, the village echoed with similar scenes. Neighbors and friends gathered around their own tables, the air alive with the sounds of community. The midday meal was a universal pause, a moment of unity in a world often defined by its divisions. For the Turners, meals were a bridge to the world beyond their homestead. Elizabeth often traded preserves and wool at the village market, her interactions weaving a tapestry of connections that extended beyond their immediate lives. The food they shared was both sustenance and currency, a symbol of their place within the larger community. As the meal drew to a close, the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the land. The cabin, now quiet save for the gentle crackle of the dying fire, seemed to breathe a sigh of contentment. Elizabeth and Thomas lingered at the table, savoring the last sips of their herbal tea, a calming blend of chamomile and mint grown in their garden. The rhythm of the day continued, unhurried yet purposeful. The afternoon was a time for reflection and quiet tasks, a gentle ebb in the tide of their labors. Elizabeth returned to her weaving, the loom's rhythmic clatter a soothing counterpoint to the birdsong outside. Thomas, ever industrious, tended to the tools and equipment essential for their survival, his hands a testament to the toil that shaped their lives. In the waning light, the cabin stood as a beacon of warmth and resilience, a sanctuary amidst the wild beauty of the frontier. The Turners' life, defined by cycles of work and rest, was a testament to the enduring spirit of those who carved a life from the land. As evening approached, the sky deepened to a rich indigo, stars beginning to prick the vast expanse like scattered diamonds. The air cooled, a gentle reminder of the season's shift. Elizabeth and Thomas prepared for the coming night, their movements slow and deliberate, the day's labor giving way to the promise of rest. The cabin, once filled with the bustle of meal preparation and conversation, now settled into a serene quietude. Outside, the sounds of nocturnal creatures stirred, a symphony of nature's own making. The world, vast and untamed, cradled their small corner within its embrace. With the day's chores behind them, Elizabeth and Thomas found comfort in the familiar rituals of evening. The hearth, now a gentle glow, cast a warm light that softened the edges of the room. They spoke in hushed tones, their words a blend of gratitude and hope, dreams interwoven with plans for the morrow. And as sleep beckoned, the cabin became a cocoon of warmth and tranquility. Elizabeth and Thomas lay side by side, the day's labors giving way to the gentle pull of slumber. The world outside faded to a distant murmur, the night enveloping them in its tender embrace. In the stillness the Turners rested, their spirits replenished by the promise of a new dawn. The cycle of life continued, a testament to their enduring resilience and the quiet beauty of their shared existence. As sleep claimed them, the cabin stood watch, a silent guardian of their dreams, whispering promises of another day. The afternoon sun cast long shadows over the bustling village square, where the heart of the community beats steadily, just as it has for years. The air, warm and fragrant with the scent of freshly baked bread and the earthy aroma of trodden grass, is filled with the gentle murmur of voices. This is where life converges. The well, the tavern, and the temple all standing as silent witnesses to the stories that unfold each day. Elizabeth Turner walks with purpose, her footsteps falling softly on the packed earth, her presence a familiar comfort to those she passes. Her eyes, a deep reflection of the sky's blue, scan the scene before her, taking in the animated gestures and shared laughter of neighbors gathered around the well. The well itself, a practical necessity, also serves as a social hub, a place where news travels faster than any river current. Today, the air hums with talk of new arrivals. A family from the east, seeking fertile land and fresh starts, has settled on the outskirts of the village. As Elizabeth draws nearer, she catches snippets of conversation, tales of their journey, the challenges faced, the hopes that propelled them forward. The settlers are a reminder of the village's own roots, each family, once strangers, now woven into the fabric of the community. Standing by the well, Mary Thompson, the village elder, recounts her own journey with a voice as rich and textured as the land itself. Her stories, punctuated by the creak of the well's wooden pulley and the splash of water, are a balm to those who listen, a reminder of shared struggles and triumphs. Elizabeth joins the circle, her hands deftly fastening the clasp of her shawl against the gentle breeze, her heart warmed by the camaraderie that envelops her. As the afternoon sun continues its lazy arc, Elizabeth makes her way to the tavern, a modest structure of timber and stone that thrums with life. Here, the air is thick with the scent of ale and the low hum of conversation. It is a place of respite for many, a haven where farmers and craftsmen gather, their faces etched with the lines of toil and laughter. Thomas is already seated at a rough-hewn table, a tankard before him, his presence steady and assured. He nods as Elizabeth approaches, his eyes meeting hers with a warmth that speaks of shared history and unspoken understanding. She slips into the seat beside him, the worn wood cool against her skin as she takes in the lively scene around them. Conversations weave through the room, touching on topics as varied as the weather, ever a subject of both hope and dread, to the rumors of political unrest stirring in the colonies. The talk of taxes and distant governors feels remote yet vital, the weight of decisions made far away rippling through their everyday lives. Here in the dim light of the tavern, the villagers dissect the news with the precision of those who must navigate its consequences. The sound of a fiddle rises above the din, its melody weaving a story of its own, one of longing and joy, of past sorrows and future dreams. Feet tap in time, and a few rise to dance, their movements a graceful testament to an enduring spirit. Elizabeth watches, her heart swelling with a sense of belonging, the music a bridge across moments, connecting all who listen. As the afternoon wanes, the temple bells toll gently, their chimes a call to gather for evening prayers. The temple, with its simple elegance, stands as a beacon of faith and reflection. Here the community comes together, their voices blending in hymns that rise to the rafters, carrying hopes and fears alike to the heavens. Elizabeth and Thomas join the congregation, their voices joining the chorus, the familiar words wrapping around them like a comforting embrace. The minister speaks of unity and resilience, his words resonating in the stillness, each syllable a thread in the tapestry of their shared lives. It is in these moments, under the vaulted ceiling, surrounded by familiar faces, that the village finds its strength, its identity forged in the crucible of faith and fellowship. As the final notes of the hymn fade into the evening air, the villagers linger, exchanging quiet words and gentle smiles, the bond of community as tangible as the cool stone beneath their feet. Elizabeth and Thomas walk hand in hand, their steps in sync, their hearts full, as they make their way back to the cabin, the soft glow of lanterns lighting their path. The day is drawing to a close, the sky a canvas of deepening hues, stars beginning to prick the velvet expanse. The village, once a hive of activity, settles into a tranquil rhythm, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant call of a night bird, the gentle murmur of the river accompanying their journey home. Back at the cabin, the fire crackles softly in the hearth, its warmth a welcome embrace against the encroaching chill. Elizabeth and Thomas settle into the quiet comfort of the evening, their hearts at peace in the knowledge of a day well lived, a life well loved. The world outside fades, the voices of the village a gentle echo as they drift into the soft embrace of sleep. The night enfolds them, a blanket of serenity and dreams, as the village settles into silence, the promise of another day whispering on the wind. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the village in a gentle twilight, the Turner homestead glowed with a soft, welcoming light. Inside, the cabin was warm and filled with the comforting aroma of stew simmering over the hearth. Elizabeth and Thomas Turner sat at the sturdy wooden table, their bodies weary from the day's toil, but their spirits uplifted by the simple pleasure of sharing a meal together. The stew, a hearty mix of potatoes, carrots, and tender chunks of venison, generously seasoned with herbs from Elizabeth's garden, filled the room with a fragrance that spoke of warmth and nourishment. The clink of wooden spoons against earthenware bowls punctuated the quiet, their rhythm steady and soothing. Outside, the crickets began their evening chorus, a familiar symphony of chirps that mingled with the occasional rustle of leaves in the gentle evening breeze. The air was cool, carrying with it the moist scent of dew forming on the grass. As they ate, Elizabeth and Thomas spoke little, content in each other's company. The day's labor had left them tired, but there was a peace in the shared silence, an understanding forged through years of working side by side. Elizabeth's thoughts wandered to the new settlers she had met earlier at the village square. She wondered how they were settling in, adjusting to the rhythm of a life that was both demanding and rewarding in its simplicity. After dinner, Thomas rose to tend to the fire, adding a few logs to ensure it would last through the night. The flames crackled and danced, casting flickering shadows on the cabin walls. Elizabeth moved about the room, tidying up, her hands working methodically, almost unconsciously, as she cleared the table and washed the dishes in a basin of cool, clear water drawn from the well. The water was crisp against her skin, a reminder of the chill that would soon settle in as night fell more heavily. Once the chores were done, Elizabeth lit a single candle, its small flame providing just enough light to see by. She placed it on the table, its glow softening the rough edges of the room and lending a gentle warmth to the wooden beams and handmade furnishings. The candle's wax dripped slowly, forming delicate patterns on the holder. With the evening winding down, Thomas checked the door, ensuring it was securely barred. It was a nightly ritual, a simple act that brought a sense of safety and closure to the day. The wooden latch clicked into place with a satisfying finality, signaling that the world outside was kept at bay until morning. Elizabeth settled into a chair by the fire, a basket of mending at her feet. Her fingers deftly pulled a needle through fabric, repairing a tear in Thomas's shirt. The rhythmic motion was calming, a familiar task that allowed her mind to wander freely. Thomas joined her, sitting on the floor with his back against her chair, feeling the warmth of the fire seep into his tired muscles. They spoke softly, their voices a low murmur against the backdrop of crackling logs and the soft ticking of a clock on the mantelpiece. The conversation drifted from the day's events to plans for tomorrow, tasks that needed doing, crops that required attention, and the ever-present hope for fair weather. As the fire burned lower, their talk grew quieter, the spaces between words stretching longer. Outside, the night deepened, the village settling into its own restful silence, punctuated only by the occasional hoot of an owl or the distant bark of a fox. The sky, a vast canvas of inky black, was dotted with stars, each one a tiny pinprick of light in the darkness. Elizabeth and Thomas eventually fell silent, their thoughts turning inward. Elizabeth offered a quiet prayer, a moment of gratitude for the day's blessings and a humble request for protection through the night. Her voice was a soft whisper, barely audible, but powerful in its sincerity. Soon after, they prepared for bed, the evening's activities winding down to a close. Elizabeth placed the mending back in its basket, and Thomas banked the fire, ensuring it would burn low but steady until morning. The embers glowed softly, casting a gentle light across the room. They climbed into their simple bed, the linens cool and crisp against their skin. The mattress, filled with straw, rustled softly as they settled in, finding comfort in the familiar embrace of their shared space. The candle's flame flickered, casting a warm halo before Elizabeth blew it out, plunging the room into a gentle darkness punctuated by the glow of the fire. As they lay there, listening to the soothing symphony of the night, a profound sense of contentment washed over them. Their bodies relaxed, the tension of the day's labor melting away. Elizabeth reached for Thomas's hand, their fingers intertwining, a silent affirmation of their partnership, their shared journey through this life of toil and quiet reward. Outside, the village slept, each cabin a small island of warmth and security in the vast, untamed wilderness. The river, its waters now a dark ribbon under the starlit sky, flowed steadily, a constant amidst the ever-changing world. In the Turner cabin, the night wrapped around them like a soft, dark cloak, and sleep came gently, coaxed by the rhythm of their breathing and the reassuring crackle of the fire. The day had ended, but the promise of a new dawn lay just beyond the horizon, another chance to toil, to build, to live in harmony with the land and each other. And so, in the quiet of their cabin, surrounded by the familiar sounds and sense of home, Elizabeth and Thomas Turner drifted into sleep, their dreams filled with the hope and possibility of another day. The world outside continued its nocturnal symphony, a lullaby for those who dared to carve out a life in this untamed land. The village lies beneath a blanket of twilight, the air cool and crisp, carrying the scent of pine and distant smoke from hearth fires that have burned down to embers. The world outside the Turner homestead is quiet now, save for the occasional rustle of leaves whispering secrets to the night and the distant hoot of an owl, a solitary sentinel in the darkness. Elizabeth rises from her place by the fire, her movements gentle and deliberate, careful not to disturb the fragile peace that has settled over their cabin. Thomas stirs slightly, his breathing deep and steady, a rhythm that matches the heart of the land itself. Elizabeth glances at him, a soft smile playing at her lips, a reflection of the gratitude that fills her heart for the life they've woven together, thread by thread, through days of toil and laughter. She steps lightly across the wooden floor, the boards creaking softly beneath her feet, a familiar melody in this serene nocturne. Outside, the village slumbers, but not all eyes are closed. In the distance, a flicker of lantern light marks the path of Samuel the farmer, making his rounds to check on the animals, ensuring their safety from prowling creatures that lurk in the shadows. His silhouette is a sturdy figure against the backdrop of the night, moving with the deliberate pace of one who knows every inch of his land. The animals stir as he passes, their low murmurs mingling with the night breeze, a symphony of life that ebbs and flows with the turning of the earth. The village square, so vibrant with activity during the day, now lies in repose, its cobblestones cool under the watchful gaze of the moon. The well stands sentinel, its bucket swaying gently in the breeze, a reminder of the life-giving water that flows beneath the surface, unseen yet vital. In the tavern, the day's conversations have faded to murmurs, the patrons having drifted home, leaving behind the echoes of laughter and the faint scent of ale and pipe tobacco. Elizabeth steps outside, the chill of the night air brushing against her skin, a gentle reminder of the world beyond her door. She wraps a shawl around her shoulders, the fabric soft and comforting, a shield against the creeping chill. She pauses on the porch, her gaze sweeping over the homestead, now cloaked in shadow, each familiar shape and contour softened by the darkness. Her heart swells with a quiet pride, a sense of belonging that has been forged through years of shared labor and love. The river, a constant companion to the village, whispers its own lullaby, the water's gentle murmur weaving through the night like a thread of silver. It reflects the moon's pale light, a ribbon of luminescence that dances across its surface, ever-changing yet eternally present. Elizabeth listens to its song, a melody that speaks of distant lands and untold stories, a reminder of the vast world that exists beyond the confines of their small, cherished corner. As she stands there, the night deepening around her, Elizabeth is aware of the dangers that lurk in the darkness. Wild animals prowling the forest's edge, the occasional fox or raccoon daring to venture closer in search of an easy meal. Yet she feels a strange kinship with these creatures, each of them navigating the night in their own way, driven by instinct and necessity. The village, despite its quietude, is alive with the subtle currents of life, an intricate tapestry woven from the threads of nature and humanity. In the distance, a dog barks, its sharp notes punctuating the night, a reminder that vigilance is always necessary in this untamed land. The sound carries, echoing through the trees, before settling back into silence, the world once more embracing its nocturnal calm. Elizabeth inhales deeply, the air rich with the scent of earth and foliage, a grounding presence that connects her to the land, to the cycles of growth and rest that govern their lives. She turns to re-enter the cabin, the warmth of the hearth beckoning her back into its embrace. Inside, the fire has dwindled to glowing coals, their soft radiance casting a gentle glow that dances across the walls. Thomas remains in repose, his face relaxed, a testament to the contentment that comes from a day of honest work and shared companionship. Elizabeth moves quietly, her hands skilled in the tasks of closing the day, securing the door, tending the fire, her actions a silent lullaby that prepares the space for rest. The cabin settles around her, the sounds of the night becoming a distant hum, a backdrop to the soft rustle of bedding as she joins Thomas in their shared rest. She closes her eyes, her mind drifting through the tapestry of their day. The laughter shared over breakfast, the quiet determination in Thomas's gaze as he surveyed the fields, the warmth of community felt in the village square. Each memory a stitch in the fabric of their lives, each moment a testament to the resilience and grace that define their existence. As the night deepens, the world outside their window is cast in shades of silver and shadow, a canvas painted by the gentle hand of the moon. The village, though quiet, is alive with dreams and the silent watch of the stars, each one a beacon of hope and possibility, guiding the way through the darkness. Elizabeth's breathing slows, matching the rhythm of the night, her mind easing into the gentle embrace of sleep. In the stillness, the world holds its breath, poised between the end of one day and the promise of another. The village, the river, the land itself, all are part of a greater story, a narrative that unfolds with each passing day, each cycle of sun and moon. And as Elizabeth drifts into slumber, the night wraps her in its gentle embrace, a promise of rest and renewal, a reminder that even in the darkest hours there is beauty and peace to be found. The cabin is hushed now, save for the soft crackle of the dying fire and the quiet symphony of the night outside. A world settling into sleep, cradled by the eternal rhythms of nature. And as the stars watch over all, the promise of a new dawn lingers on the horizon, waiting patiently for its moment to paint the world anew. As the night deepens over the village, a gentle stillness settles in, wrapping the small cluster of homes in a quiet embrace. The Turner homestead rests peacefully by the river, its wooden beams creaking softly in the cooling air. Inside, the fire has dwindled to a warm glow, casting flickering shadows that dance across the walls. Elizabeth and Thomas have long since retreated to their bed, cocooned in woolen blankets that carry the faint, earthy scent of the sheep they sheared last spring. The room is filled with the soft rustle of fabric and the steady, rhythmic breathing of the two who have labored side by side through the day's demands. Outside, the world is alive with the subtle sounds of the night, the rustling leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the gentle lap of the river against its banks. These are the whispers of a world that continues to move even as the settlers rest, a reminder of the land's enduring presence and the cycle of life that binds them to it. The air is cool, carrying with it the promise of another day to come, another dawn that will bring with it the endless tasks and small triumphs of a life forged in resilience. In this quiet moment, the beauty of their existence unfolds, in the simple yet profound connections they have built, in the strength drawn from the land, and the unwavering hope for a future shaped by their hands. These lives, though fraught with hardship and uncertainty, are rich with moments of grace and gratitude, woven together by the threads of community and the shared dream of a place to call home. And as the last candle flickers out, leaving the cabin in tender darkness, the village settles into the arms of night. In this serene silence, the world seems to pause, offering a gentle lullaby to those who dwell within, a whispered promise of rest, of peace, and of the quiet beauty found in the ordinary.